Chapter 4, Genes, How We Are Programmed. The human genome is written with 3 billion letters and is very cluttered. Our 20,000 genes occupy less than 2% of this script. All of them could fit on a single chromosome with lots of room to spare, but evolution is indifferent to tidiness. Because the human genome was crafted from the earlier genomes of our ancestors, it carries the faultless as well as the corrupted genes from this history, an inheritance that runs all the way back through fish to bacteria. This is why the genes that make our proteins are scattered across the chromosomes and planted in deep thickets of meaningless text. The messy majority of human DNA is written as strings of letters that code for no amino acids at all, or script that codes for chains of amino acids that make proteins that don't work. Some of this DNA performs useful tasks without making any proteins, but most of it seems to be rubbish or junk DNA. As time passes and natural selection pans for gemstones, the next best enzymes, the accumulation of these mind tailings is unavoidable. The relationship between the complexity of an organism and the size of its genome is very weak. By complexity, we tend to think about the size of an organism, its anatomy, and what it does for a living. There's certainly more to being a human being than a nematode worm, but not much more, perhaps, to being a cell in either organism. This is an important point, so much so that it deserves to be recast for emphasis. Humans have more moving parts than worms, but the individual cells that make them are equally complicated. Last reading from chapter 4. Carl Linnaeus gave us our Latin name in the 18th century and split Homo sapiens into a quartet of geographical varieties according to skin color and perceived differences in behavior. Founded on this racial classification, later scientists created more overtly racist taxonomies that situated whitewashed Europeans as the pinnacle of the species and presumed that other races had formed by degeneration. Genetic research has squashed these beliefs, but their persistence among large swaths of humanity is one more manifestation of our narcissism. Not content with placing the rest of nature on a sliding scale from delicious to detestable, hierarchies are imagined within our own species. These convictions come very cheaply. Racism can serve as a convenient refuge for people who have failed to identify any trace of personal worth.